Welcome to Third Fridays, the monthly legal talk show from Lois LLC featuring attorney Christian Cison. This is the original forum in which real attorneys discuss workers' compensation issues, share their opinions, and engage in colorful conversations. This show showcases diverse perspectives of attorneys handling workers' comp cases, including case law trends, practical litigation strategies, and hot topics. Here's your host, Christian Cison.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the August 2026 edition of the Third Fridays podcast. My name is Christian Cison, and we typically reserve August for the mock trial podcast finals. But if you guys have listened to our show from 3 months ago, we know that the season format has taken over. There's now a year-long program cut into 3 seasons. So 3 months ago, we had our winners come on the podcast, Steve McLinden and Avery Dover. Season 2 featured 2 different winners. So we're going to get their take on how it went, their tips and tricks, their recommendations, what they don't like about the program, what they don't like about me is obviously fair game as well. And yeah, let's get into it. So with me here today are Olivia, Barna, and Julia Prisco. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
All right, so I guess let's start with where you guys were, like, mindset-wise after season 1 ended, right? So, like, you guys have now been through 2 seasons, and when season 1 ended, 2 champions were crowned. We had an off month, and you guys were like, oh, we got to do this again, right? So it's okay, right? Like, what is going through your mind at that point in terms of, you know, you see two other people win, and how do you get ready for doing this again in season 2?
I can go. You go ahead. So I think it's a nice, like, refresh, restart. It's not like exhausting, you know, if you do it over. I don't. How long was the old format? I don't remember.
So the old format was, I guess, depending on when you wanted to start caring, but
right.
Like, materials were given out in March.
Right.
After July, so you had April, May, June, July, and then after July, 3 finalists were selected for August, and then the winners announced in September. So, like,
wow,
we were discussing it for 6 months, but for the vast majority of people in last year's format, it was 4, 5, 6, like 4 months of work.
Yeah, it's just.
And it wasn't mandatory last year?
No,
it was.
No.
It was the mentor.
I honestly like the mandatory aspect of it. And
people are going to think you're a plant now.
No,
because
and I get
they're going to hear this.
You got to hear me out, though.
Right. Okay. No, sure.
The mandatory aspect of it makes it so that it doesn't feel like it's taking away from my work day, or, you know, because it's like everybody's doing it and it's built into Third Friday.
Right.
And it just made it feel like an activity rather than like homework.
That's a good point, especially because the push to mandatory meant that we had to let people only work for Third Friday, right? In other formats, it was you have 3 weeks to prepare and then Third Friday to perform. So you had people that were really trying to extend themselves. And then if we made that mandatory across the firm, I'd be responsible for all our lost revenue, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, just everyone getting the materials on the same day, having the same time to prep, and also the break is just refreshing. Like,
right. Well, for some people, I guess, like, half people go like into the prep and then they have the mock trial right after.
Yeah, the schedule. But I just mean in general, like, everyone's getting it that morning.
Yeah.
You know, it's not 3 weeks of prep. You know, depending on my schedule, I might not like the old system. I don't know when I was going to look at it. Could have been the day before. Could have been 3 weeks before. Right. At least everyone's kind of on a similar playing field. And then just, I don't know, each prompt, each month felt different. Like, it wasn't the continuation. You to remember what happened last month and what were the results. Like, I feel like even each month was its own mini season in a way. And I like that. It's refreshing on the brain.
Even just the experience of working with different people each time makes each prompt different in itself.
Yeah. So, I mean, getting into the prep aspect, right? Everybody getting it on the same day. We tried an iteration of that like years ago where like the teams were given out a month in advance, 3 weeks in advance. And then we gave everybody the material on the day of. And it was chaos because people couldn't like put that together. I mean, granted, they were prepping themselves. They didn't have mentors to like answer questions. But one of the things that inexperienced attorneys and paralegals say to me about this format is it might benefit the experienced individual. Like, you know, this season was fraud, SLU, and LWEC, right? The three like topics that we deal with all the time, but also if you've been dealing with it for years versus months, you can probably think on the fly about certain things to do, right? So I've heard from people that it benefits the experienced performers, the experienced attorneys and paralegals. My take on that is, doesn't the world benefit the experience? Like, right? Like if I go in there and have a hearing against a claimant's attorney who just started like 1 month ago, like I am going to feel like I can handle that like a lot differently than if I'm up against a true peer, right?
Yeah.
So it's still an issue that we want to address with our inexperienced attorneys and paralegals, right? So from your point of view, right, you talked about a refresh heading into season 2. Some people that start at the firm in the middle of season 2 or right before season 2, they're thrown into it. What would you tell them if you were not competing, right? Like let's say you're not competing and you're their buddy, they're your best friend. You have all this information. What would you tell them to do, like as we start season 3 next month?
Honestly, that was probably the toughest part. I would, like before this season and before this new structure, was like the stage fright of it. Like I remember the first season, I was confident going in, but then I got in there and I went to speak and I just fully blacked out, like from nerves. Like and I'm not even someone who gets stage fright, but it just came over me. And because when you don't feel confident about what you're talking about, or you feel like other people aren't confident in you, it's no matter how experienced you are and how much you feel you know, to be nervous about like being in front of people and being in front of your higher ups and like being afraid that they're going to think that you don't know enough if you're not performing well. It's like a lot. But once you realize that it's not a competitive environment as much as it is like everybody in there wants to do well and wants to see you do well. And like, I remember people saying that in the old structure, but I didn't like feel that way because it was like every man for themselves.
Well, it's like,
but now it's not.
Someone who's in it in a competition and telling someone who's not in it, oh, it's fine. It's a community. Like we're all working together.
People want to see you win. No, they don't.
I have a funny story for my first mock trial 5.5 years ago. So I started in February. I don't know if it was COVID time, so I don't know if it was delayed. But it was either a month or a couple months. You gave out a construction prompt. I'm new. Construction, it's still foreign to me.
Yeah,
same.
I thought I issue spotted everything.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was so wrong when people are naming like falling off a scaffold. I'm like, what is this?
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of just like I took it all in and like tried to remember things because I think even after mock trial, I was like, oh, this is similar to mock trial. So I try to give that experience to like the newer, mostly paralegals. I think they're more in the, I don't know what I'm doing for this, but of course, you know, some attorneys like the stage fright, but I kind of bring my first experience. I don't know if it was scarring, but I still remember it. Like
stage fright's like always going to be a thing, right?
Right.
I mean, you know, if you're in front of people that you know, and you're talking about like your most the topic that's most important to you, that you know everything about, and you're just telling them about how you feel about it, how are you still not going to feel stage fright? I think the people that don't feel stage fright at all when they do these things, like, that's a very rare quality.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes I think that maybe they don't care enough, because, you know, I've been doing this stuff for like 14 years now. Like, I can think about my hearings yesterday that I was signing in and like still having a little bit of that like stomach swirling around.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I mean, I say this like, you know, on the podcast and off the podcast, like I think I'm really great at this, but like to still have that, I think it tells me that I still care. Right. Yeah. So I think that's an important point, like bringing up, you know, you've been doing this for so long, both of you, that when you still come up to the task, like there is that stage fright. And I think that does level the playing field, right? I have a pretty good idea that inexperienced attorneys and paralegals probably look at across the table to you two and say like, oh, they don't have this stage fright. They know what they're doing.
False.
Right?
Yeah. Fake it till you make it.
Right. This is like something
really
that
all it is.
So fake it till you make it is actually a very interesting phrase, because I think a lot of people interpret that as like imposter syndrome, or like, you know, just like kind of skate by. But I actually interpret it as you're playing the person against you, as opposed to like the material. Right.
100%.
So like the fraud, the slew, the LWEC prompts, right? Like there are certain topics that you're always going to keep in the back of your head that you're just like, okay, I know to say this or to refute that. But if someone says something to you, right, you might actually in your head agree with them. But like, if you're ready to just fight them on it, you're doing exactly what our clients want, right? Because when you're an advocate for a client in a legal setting, you're making arguments that, like, you know, if you had to bet on him, sometimes you know that you won't win. But that's not always the point, right? You're being an advocate because you're applying the law to how their interests can be furthered. So stage fright, huge. It's across the board. I have stage fright every single time when I'm walking around and I'm like, did I create the right thing? Did I like,
right.
Or like when someone's like, there's a typo in your material, I like shoot myself, right? Okay, so stage fright. Anything else that you said, Olivia, that you'd bring in your first experience?
Trauma.
Oh, jeez.
Just kidding.
So
you trauma bond with the other.
Right? Like, but coming out of the other side, right?
Right.
3 prompts later, you guys win the big prize. Obviously, had you known that, you'd sign up every time.
Right.
Right. For 3 days work and that amount of a prize. But, you know, some people are going into it thinking, I have no chance of winning this. I'm up against Olivia, Barna, and Julia Prisco. How would I ever like match that? Right.
I feel like paralegals, at least I can speak on that end of things. Paralegals might feel like they're at a disadvantage going up against attorneys. I think that's a really interesting way that it's formatted as well, that everybody's equal in there. And it doesn't matter what level you are or how experienced you are or whether you're a paralegal or an attorney, you're all playing the same game. Right. And I think the fake it till you make it and the stage fright and like that whole aspect of it, you are just in there and it's fun. Like, and it's so important to remember that it's just fun. Cause I remember we had a prompt, I think it was the one that we did together. And everybody was like arguing back and forth. And like I remember
the LWEC. Yeah.
I remember Rasheen said something like she has children, the claimant. And I was like, what are their names? And everybody just laughs. Right. And it's not like you're going to say that in a hearing and you have to know everything to do well in there and know all the right things to say or the structure of a hearing or like how things go procedurally. But like just have fun in there and throw out wild ideas and say funny things. And because I feel like the more you talk and the more you have your voice heard, the more recognition you get.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like we want it to be fun in that sense where it's not like the decorum of an actual courtroom all the time. Right. So like the times when I've had to sub in for judges, like I know that we have a limited amount of time. And so I tell everybody, like, I know who you are. You don't need to do the appearances and things like that. Right. Like, let's get to the meat of it. And I think that part of what you're mentioning, right? You're right. I would never say to a claimant's attorney in an LWEC trial, like, yeah, what are their names? Like, do you even know your kids? It's like the whole point is that the other side doesn't know the names of their kids, right? And you're playing the person as opposed to material. Mm-hmm. Like that part makes everybody feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Because even if you don't know anything, even if this is your third week here, you can just banter.
You could say that. And I think that builds a lot of character for everything.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that, when I was going to school as a little kid, like I was so scared to like be called on in class. Mm-hmm. Right. And my dad was like, you have to participate even if you're going to get it wrong, because the amount of like things that you go through as a person to see it, like you're going to feel more comfortable and then you're going to figure out like how that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And the more you stay in that pattern of like, I'm just going to let everyone else do it. Right. You're just going to fall into that trap and never going to be the person that is actually winning. But some people are fine with that. But I think that's part of like how the grading system kind of uplifts it. Right. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that a little bit, because you can be an amazing litigator if you argue all of the arguments and you refute all of the arguments on the other side, and the rest of your team doesn't help, you won't win.
Right.
How do you guys feel about that? I mean, you won, so I mean, but
that almost makes the win a little sweeter. Like knowing that you could only win if you did your job as a teammate too.
Yeah.
Right. So as both of you guys go into these things then, right, the teams are randomized every month and you're going to get someone who is not as experienced as you in each one, right? So what is the tip you guys have for the experienced people in the firm, right? Who knows exactly what to say, right? Exactly what to argue, what the case law is, how it applies to the facts. What would you guys do in your 3 sessions that create a cohesive team performance?
So when we get our team together, like, we'll meet somewhere in my office, or a room, whatever. I feel like I just like automatically take on a mentor role because I'm typically the most seasoned attorney there. And the first thing I always do is, make sure the paralegal understands the concept. That's like number one. And then, we always discuss like to try to divide the issues or the topics. Okay. But we all know that like all these things may not be addressed.
Right.
And I feel like for the experienced attorneys, I recommend like give less structure to them and more creativeness and less prep. Like you can wing it. I always say like you can wing it. I'm sure you've done it at a hearing. Like you don't need to sit here and write down all of your facts, your arguments. Like just do it. Like LWEC, like you're good, and focus on the less experienced people. And I feel like, at least from my perspective, that gives that person more creativity, more confidence, and like I feel like they excel better in that way because they're trusted and also they know what they're doing. And I feel like then they can have more fun and not have to worry about like the points and the speaking and the grading. They're going to speak. They can always jump. They know that they can always jump in and make them feel like they can jump in. They don't have to be, you're this topic and that topic only.
That's a good point, Olivia. And I think to give Julie your perspective on it, right? As a paralegal, you could know everything that we do here from A to Z, but you're never taking a deposition. You're never arguing in a hearing unless you're drafting the summation brief, right? So there's always going to be an issue for a paralegal that they may need that like assistance, that help from the attorney. Or well, I don't want to say that all the time, but like I could see that happening where if you don't have that experience doing it, unless you do mock trial consistently where you can feel that comfortable. How do you make your mark in those prep settings, right? Because if you think about it, right, 45 minutes is not a lot of time, especially if you don't know the material. Like you got to read through it. And then, Olivia's talking about dividing the labor and things like that. What is the paralegal's best, I guess, mindset going into these things? Is it a, take charge approach? Is it a sit back and like let people divvy up the work? How do you approach that? Because I think that's a very, very understated part of it. Like, because if you don't take advantage of the prep, it's over.
Yeah. I think my approach and all I can do is base it on how I've felt in the past. And you said like, speak to that person inside of you in prior mock trials. That's really all I can go off of. And I can imagine putting myself in their shoes, and maybe I've been here a couple months or maybe even a year. That's still pretty early on, and you don't know everything. And maybe you're worried more about how you're going to perform in there more than you are about how much you know about the material. Or like, that was something that overwhelmed me when I first started doing mock trial, was like, I've never been in a hearing, and I could listen to all the hearing minutes in the world, but I'm not in there, and it's not a hands-on experience for me. But doing this, and so the answer to your question, my approach to when I'm helping other paralegals in the prep is just kind of like, one, there's usually something that they feel confident about. There's something, they've gone through the materials and they've found something. And because everybody is going to like want to talk about that one thing that they do know, or like the one thing that they feel most confident about. I feel like I'll pay attention to that and like what they're kind of leaning towards and focusing on. And also like, all right, so then that's your, like, why don't you like take that moment when we're in there, and that's the topic you're going to cover. And so usually that works out nicely, that there's one topic they feel really good about. But if not, I think mock trial, if nothing else, is a great time to share knowledge.
Right.
Like in this past prompt, I was working with another paralegal, and I was able to give her like examples of LWEC exposure analyses I've done in the past, and like give her all my tips and tricks and like things I refer to when I'm doing one, or things that have worked for me in the past. And I gave her an example, and then I drafted an example for this prompt based on the example one that I gave her. And I just I was like happy that I could give that to her, because like I wish like someone could have given me that. So it gave her confidence, not only for the prompt and to give her knowledge for what she was doing and talking about this, but also for her work going forward.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have both talked about what you've done in those prep sessions. It actually makes me think about the role of the mentor in there, right? Because I think you guys were actually in my prep session, because I still had to sub in for somebody. And I remember saying, like, nobody wants to hear me talk during these things. So like, I'm here if you guys want to ask questions. But if you think about like the structure of the most common group, it's usually experienced attorney, inexperienced attorney, experienced paralegal, inexperienced paralegal, right? Like that's the four people in the group. And so throughout that whole time, if there is an experienced attorney and an experienced paralegal in each group, sometimes the mentor isn't really doing anything, right? Do you guys think it would be better if there was no mentor? Or like, what do you use like the mentoring partner that is there in that 45 minutes? Because like we just talked about, it's not a lot of time. You got to get the cohesiveness of you're talking about sharing exposure analyses with an inexperienced paralegal, divvying up the work, Olivia, right? So like the role of that mentor, what should it be?
Honestly, I think it's perfect as is right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I remember in the past, there were like designated mentors being like more experienced paralegals and experienced attorneys being the mentor of the group for mock trial. And I think that takes away from the creativity of the group because it's all based on the mentors.
To do what the mentor
prompt.
thinks.
Yeah, or their approach.
Yeah.
And I think that it's helpful for people who maybe weren't going to come up with that on their own, but it also takes away the opportunity to get them to try and figure out what their approach is going to be and what their, what their angle is going to be.
I had one session within the last 6 months where the mentor was more hands-on and we all talked as a group, both sides. And like the whole time I'm thinking about like, when are we going to split up? When do we get to talk strategy? Like I didn't want them to know my strategy because like we were talking about like, oh, this is what the claimant should argue. This is what the carrier should argue. Like I didn't want to know their arguments,
Right. Yeah.
Like, so like they're there if you need them and like they're mentor partners for a reason. They have the experience.
Right.
But, like Julia said, let us be creative, like let those juices flow. And if we need the reference that's there. And I think internally within our groups, like the mentors are kind of also naturally come up, like, being more experienced, you can give recommendations and it's not like somebody takes over that role. Like, okay, we're going to do what I say. But
right.
I think there's a second level of mentorship within each core four.
Yeah, I think that's like a good point, right? If a team is going to have a good score, I could make an argument that they probably aren't even using the mentor, even if the mentor has information that could help the team for an argument, right? Because the more time that the team is talking to each other, the better off the team is in terms of the cohesiveness. So like you guys are talking about what I said on this podcast 3 months ago, where I was saying, if you're the experienced litigator, attorney, or paralegal, right, you should actually just be talking to the inexperienced, right? Like don't even study the material at this point, right? Like spend all of your time with your teammate because by talking to them about the material, you're actually studying it, right? As opposed to just reading it on your own. And I think that there are a lot of groups that like will take that time to read it on their own, right? But what is the inexperienced litigator doing in that time? They're reading and aren't putting like the pieces together.
Yeah.
It's a foreign language to some of them.
Right.
Like, what am I reading right now?
Right.
Like, what am I looking at?
I think that's where we have our training curve kind of makes sense to everybody, right? So like when we tell clients, it really doesn't matter which lowest attorney or paralegal is on your file. It's because the internal materials that we have speed up the curve, right? And so there's always like an answer for everything. There's very rarely a novel thing that, we have like the people in the firm going, I don't know what to do here, right? Like there's just always going to be an answer. And so I hope that, I guess like there are people who will listen to this and there are people who won't. But, like the idea is that time that I walk around and I see people in silence, I'm like worried for that team. Like that, I don't think that team's going to do that well because then that depends on every single person who's reading individually to say something that contributes to the team, right? And what if you're thinking about, I'm going to say this when you're reading it, but then someone else says it, right? Like, because you're losing out on that cohesiveness, the division of the work and all that stuff. So there is some element, we got to look it over, right? But there's like a 2 or 3 paragraph prompt, like a summary for a reason, right? So my all-time tip and trick for this is for the experienced attorney, just read that. That's it, right? Then you talk to your inexperienced teammates and you say like, okay, what do you know about this topic and what do you not? Like, what do you feel comfortable? And let's like elevate that comfort level within that particular area. They start feeling engaged, right? Like they're going to talk about this. Whatever that is, the experienced person just takes the other side, right? Or like they fill the gaps. And now you have a cohesive team. Like I've gone, I've just like drawn on like a whiteboard about all these different ideas I have about this stuff. Like, what do you guys think about in a team where you have 2 attorneys and 2 paralegals, the attorneys and paralegals separate? Because like, as a paralegal, do paralegals feel more comfortable talking to each other about how to do these types of things, or do they want to hear from the attorneys?
I think there's no one straight answer to that. I think there's times I've felt more comfortable talking to like a seasoned attorney and getting their perspective on things. And there's times I've felt like only a paralegal could understand like where I'm coming from on this. So that really differs. I think there's no one right answer. I think it's the vibe, and it changes every time we do a mock trial prompt, like just the vibe of the group and how those specific people,
the personalities, and
it's different every time. And it doesn't matter what level you are.
Yeah.
It's really person specific. That's like the most fun part.
Okay.
It's like, it's a different experience every single prompt.
All right. Let me throw another one at you.
Okay.
Right? The prep session is just one big meeting, and you have like maybe multiple partners on like a dais or like a panel, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody gets split into their groups. They're working through the materials, but everybody's hearing like all the mentors at once in that 45-minute session. Yay, nay? What do we think about that?
Like, do we know our groups yet?
You know your groups, and you don't have to use the mentors. You can leave the meeting if you want to go to, Olivia said you go to your office or another room to game plan or strategize. What do you think about? Because like we separate the prep meetings, right?
Yeah.
Go into different rooms, right? Is that the right way to do, or do you see any benefit to bringing everyone together?
What benefit do you see of bringing everyone together?
Sounds like a lot of noise in one room.
Yeah.
That's all that I see.
All right, no, it's fine. It's fine.
It sounds chaotic.
I need a lot of these. I have too many ideas, so I need them to be redlined by people immediately sometimes.
You could rapid fire throw them out right now. Well, yay or nay.
It's the same concept now. Like I think most of the mentors, like, don't engage, at least in my experience, unless needed, which to me, I like. I'm usually like, let's go to my office. Let's get out of here.
Right.
Let's not
more intimate setting. You feel more comfortable in a smaller group. I could see that.
I feel like you have to split up, like both sides, like whether you're claimant side or defense. Like I feel like you have to split up so you don't hear each other's things, so that it's an authentic. Like
I was thinking that the benefit was everybody gets the same content, right? So if there's a question about like, how are we dealing with this issue in the materials? And then
both sides
everybody hear it. Okay, but if it's a nay, quick nay, fine. Second subset of that, what if you had 2 prep sessions total? One for everybody who's on claimant side, one for everybody who's on defense side.
I think
no.
I
think
another
nay.
I think everyone has such different ideas on how to go into these mock trials. Like their arguments are different, and then like sometimes I feel like it sounds like these arguments are going to be streamlined more and more similar. And like, what if you say somebody asks a question and says something that's not even part of my argument, like, which is great. Maybe I'll think about it, but like, maybe I just had a different approach.
Yeah.
And then do I have to start from scratch? Like,
cool.
That's just, because I think there are multiple ways to argue these prompts.
Of course.
I think doing that, like doing it as a group, would take away from the spontaneous fun like twists that happen, and then coming together after and everybody sharing stories of like what happened in yours, and I didn't even think of that.
I don't think anyone asked about children except for us. I don't think that happened in any other mock trial.
Can you imagine? Yeah, that's true. If you had to like raise that in a prep meeting, that was like, I'm gonna ask what their children's names are.
To me, the best part is like the going rogue and throwing out these wild things. And if we all had like specific answers to any question that anybody in that room had, then I feel like you would lose that. It would take away from the ability to say like, well, there's no date of injury on this. Let's say it was yesterday, or like,
Right.
Yeah. I like a little bit of ambiguity. Like I remember when I instant uploaded at the hearing, and I handed out documents to everyone. I was like, boom.
Yeah, she did. It's insane. We were like, what are we? What's going on?
Then the process of going through that, right? I think going rogue, saying something that you think is maybe off topic, and then you can get real time feedback, not just from a judge, not just from your own team, but like how the other team reacts to it. Mm-hmm. Right? I think that is a very important part of it. Okay. So all my ideas kind of squashed by you guys, which is fine.
Got any more?
Well, that means what's going right now is going
We're
right.
feeling
and going
empowered.
well.
Right. I guess that's the idea here is like I'm always trying to think about making it better, and sometimes it might just be a really good product as is. One thing I have gotten a lot of requests from or for is providing the teams earlier. So like nobody gets the materials, but like maybe you want to like chat with your team.
Even when you were saying that before, like we used to find out who's on our team 3 weeks ago. I can't even, or like 3 weeks in advance. I can't even fathom that. I think it's perfectly structured right now. I hate to keep shooting you down, but
I don't see the advantage. Like, you know, we assume what the topic is based upon like, you know, training materials we've learned earlier that month. But like, there's really no.
And the fact that it's so confined to one day is perfect.
Yeah. Like 99% of the time, I'm probably not going to like, I'd probably say, hey team, like make a team's message and then say, you know, if anyone wants to meet and talk, like nobody's going to want to meet and talk beforehand.
Would never happen.
Right. And you don't have the materials. What are you going to just talk about?
Yeah. Exactly. Like it's also like, it is nice to get to know attorneys and paralegals. Like I've definitely talked to a lot of attorneys and paralegals. Either I've just only scratched the surface with or never spoken to, which is obviously great in mock trial, but I just getting that in advance, I don't think is going to, you know, improve those relationships. I'll probably just talk to them. I mean, I'd want to talk to them in general.
More strange conversations.
Yeah. Like, hi, I'm Olivia. If you need anything.
So the benefit I saw in that idea, though, was something that you brought up, Olivia, was you know it's going to be about the training topic, right? So fraud, for example, was the off month in April, but we brought it as part of topic 5 or month 5. And so if you knew your team ahead of time and you knew it has something on fraud and we were getting a firm-wide training like in the first week, couldn't you at least start like a brainstorming session where you said like, oh, like they mentioned this during the firm-wide training, right? Like, so like I'm just putting it here for everybody if like you want to talk about it or think about it. No pressure, no like, you don't need to like set aside time in your life to actually do it, but it could be something that gets you started, but you're shaking your head.
I don't think it's necessary. I don't think there's like a significant benefit.
You guys think that people listening to this are going to think like this was all part of my master plan to give you these Oppo ideas that you just shoot down, and like, then I'm just saying like,
is perfect.
Like walk out and be like, oh yeah, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
This is a perfect product.
I am like, I've always said I'm not a mock trial person. I don't like, you know, I don't like the competitive nature of it. So like, I like, you know, the other aspects. So I'm not a plant, you know, I'm not, you know, I did win this month or season, but I think it's just the core timing, you know, not taking away from other people's work. Like Julia said earlier, like, I just think it's in its own little bubble and it works.
Right.
I think it works so well. I think it's so perfect as it is right now. I am a plant.
Because people are going to hear that and be like, yeah.
But like,
what did Kristen?
That's so me. I'm always getting accused of being a plant because no one's cheering louder.
The thing is, right, I'm sure like the structure will change in somewhat because like, you know, things will happen, right? You know, by the end of the year, we're going to have everybody in person, right? So, you know, what does that do in terms of like space? What does that do in terms of timing and all that stuff? But I mean, yes, it is. I was thinking that at least one of these ideas would be like, oh, that was a great idea.
Do you have any others?
I mean,
that was all you brought to the table?
I'm sorry, I brought 3. We've been talking for almost 40 minutes. Like, you're saying, oh, it's great that like I don't have to like worry about missing work. And here it's like I'm being asked for more ideas to keep this podcast going.
Julie said the best thing earlier. It's like it's all on one day. Nobody's stressed about their work, like prep time, and
because you want it to stay fun.
Yeah, over a course of 3 weeks, you have to meet with your team. Maybe meet a second. Well, the rules were like they can meet more, but whatever. Yeah. It's like meeting maybe multiple times, and then also doing mock trial. It's the anxiety of your work, and it's. When you know it's one day.
Right. You don't have to think about it until the day of.
And it's not that deep. Again, like there's no real, like there is prep work, but like like you said, 45 minutes. That's it.
Right.
It's not hours.
That's the thing that I face sometimes where people are like, well, I wish you gave us this other thing that helps me make this argument. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, I could give you like 100 pages of exhibits, like in a real e-case, or I could give you thousands. Like, how are you going to look at that in 45 minutes? Yeah.
And again, like it gives you so much room to be creative.
Right.
Which I think is more fun than, like I said before, I'm not a mock, like I don't love the competitive nature of mock trial because I get too competitive. I don't like I want everyone to just have fun, and it ends up, it ends up all working out, and, everyone being creative, I think, is to me more important and more fun than who's going to win. Like, I don't think anyone's in mock trial thinking like, oh, I'm going to win this month.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's another thing, right? Like, you're talking about the competition aspect. It's not like we post like 1 through 25 in attorneys, 1 through 25 in paralegals, just like on the board somewhere.
Yeah.
Where you can just see like, oh, shame, right? Like you don't see that. People only know the top 2 each month. And so I guess the idea is that, whether you're number 3 or you're number 15, like you need to do something a little bit differently the next time to actually get a top 2 finish, which is just ultimately so very hard to do. Right. Like I imagine that part of it was actually probably why experienced attorneys and paralegals didn't want to do mock trial when it was voluntary, because it's like, if I win, people expect me to win. If I don't win, that's going to be really embarrassing. Right. And that fear almost being overtaken or not being overtaken by the community, the collaboration, like all that kind of stuff that makes it fun, that, like we are pressed for time on Third Friday, but by the end of that day, like you really can't be thinking about like, oh, the fact that you might have a deposition or a summation the next week, right? Like you're just thinking, it's like, this is Third Friday. We're together, especially in the summer when it's just like so nice out. Like we can, have our food trucks. We come back in, like we're just always together on Third Friday. And I think that that has to be celebrated and thought about more often than just like the material.
Yeah. I don't think I think about who won or how I did until, 4:00 when we all come down here, like, and they announce winners. Like, I genuinely don't think about that during mock trial. I don't know if anyone else, at least I don't get that vibe from anyone. Like, nobody feels competitive.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, I can almost guarantee, like, the people who win are the ones having most fun with it.
Oh, that's a good point.
And like, if you you don't have to worry about being the most seasoned or the smartest or most prepared. You just have to worry about immersing yourself into it and having fun and learning and participating.
Right.
And that's pretty much how you win. Yeah. Like, I feel like I wasn't even concerned with the scoring rubric, as you know, like I had no idea where I was on the list.
Yeah.
And no one was more surprised than me to hear that I won the prompt. Was that 2 months ago, 3 months ago?
That was, I think you won the first one of the season.
Yeah.
Right.
I was not expecting that at all. I was hardly paying attention when you were calling the names because I was like, there's no way. I heard my name. I was like, what?
Yeah. I started clapping at the end and I was like, wait, that's my name.
Right. You're just used to like, right. Just the odds are, right. It's the odds, like, you're 1 out of 20 to 25 people.
Yeah.
Like, why is it going to be your name?
Right. You know? And like, I just had fun with it. And then I won. And that kind of like lit me up. And I was like, oh, I can. Yeah. It felt distant and like impossible before. But then I won the prompt and I was like, you know what? I could win this season.
The crazy thing is too, right? Like the amount of senior associates that we have in the program, or like, there are multiple senior associates that don't win every month, right? And so you think about like how it's not just like, okay, everyone at the top is just going to win all the time.
Right.
I could even make the same statement that if you just put all the partners in a partners only competition, right, and had 2 winners, there'd be like 8 partners that just get nothing.
Right.
And like, these are some of the best people in the industry. So like, I think that whole point of it, of having fun, like it shines. It's like, it's contagious. Mm-hmm. Like you say something that like garners a laugh or like, you know, changes the narrative a little bit. I mean, I said this earlier, but the whole concept changes, right? You get the judge to laugh, the auditing team to laugh, right? Like the graders, the other opponents, like once they're like feeling comfortable, you've now created that vibe that should hopefully bleed into the next one. It's like, oh, like we can just kind of have fun with this. And yes, like that's the point.
Yeah.
Like nobody is sitting there writing with a pencil and being like, oh, they said like the claimant instead of claimant, right? Like I don't like that, so I'm going to dock them a point. Like no one's doing something that's crazy. Right. So, you know, it's like that idea. I think if you can get over that hump, like that's probably the perfect way to really go about it. Like you can enjoy it, then you're already a step ahead.
Yeah. And like, it's so not real. Like you're
not that real. It's not that
genuinely
deep.
Like when I explain it to people, like my friends that don't work here,
right.
I'm like, well, we essentially put on a play.
Yeah.
And we just get to play and
right.
It's improv and like the goal is to make people laugh or like say the most outlandish thing and or have a speedy response to the other outlandish things that people say.
Right.
And it's like it's really just how much fun you're having.
That's a great analogy. Like it's like your team is putting on a play. The other team is putting on a play also, but you don't know what play they're putting on.
Right.
So it's like the play that you're putting on is counterproductive to the play that the other team is putting on. And then
make it make sense.
An improv play. It's an improv play. A little.
Yeah. Very, very cool. I think that's the perfect way to end it because now I'm going to be like, oh, improv sick. I'm so much smarter than I thought I was. I'm organizing an improv studio. Oh, sick.
This is all going according to plan.
All right, guys, this has been so much fun. I told you guys when we started, this is going to be like 20, 25 minutes. Like we're going on 46, right? 46 minutes on this. So for everybody that has stayed with us throughout this entire time, I hope you had a good laugh or two. For Olivia Barna and for Julia Prisco, my name is Christian Cison, reminding you to defend from day one.